Hello, hello. Let me know if you can hear me. If you would be so kind as to drop a one in the chat. Hey, Red Blonde Chick, what's going on, Mama? Can you hear me? Just drop a one in there if you can hear me. Hopefully you can. Let me make sure I have all my audio up. Can you hear me? Drop a two if you can't hear me. Oh, there's a one. There's a one. Hey, Lakeisha. Hey, Track Legs. For good evening, ladies. So I wanted to touch on. Hey, Mina, Ashley. Mina Velez, Ashley R. How are you? Good evening. Happy hump day. I'm making this is going to be an edition of headlines and hoo-has because a couple of you ladies have hit me up about the Kerry Washington. Okay, thank you, Tasha. A couple of you guys have hit me up about the Kerry Washington, the interviews, the media blitz, the book, and I'm going to speak to it as it relates to fertility, right? And as it relates to our sort of community. I'm your self-appointed fertility fairy godmother. So for background, hey gorgeous Coco Mama, just for background, in case you guys haven't seen the media blitz, I'm gonna bring up the article from the Hollywood Reporter about Kerry Washington, and we'll start there, just so everybody has the same background, and then we'll take it from there. Hollywood Reporter. Okay. Share. So that's on the screen. I'm going to make myself small down here. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. Close the ad down there. Okay. Yikes. Here we go. Okay. Kerry Washington reveals finding your roots led to discovery she was conceived through a sperm donor. The scandal actress says she's had difficult conversations with her parents about the revelation that helped explain a weird disconnect she's had with her father. I will be forever grateful to Skip Gates. And for those of you guys who haven't heard of that show, Finding Your Roots, it's basically like they'll do a DNA test of you, your parents, and they'll look back at your lineage. It's kind of cool. They'll tell you, like, where your people came from, etc. So it sounds like she has signed up to be on that show. As part of that, she had asked, hey, Mercedes, her parents to be a part of it, and they asked to speak to Skip Gates. So her parents actually revealed the secret to Kip Gates before they revealed it to her. Kerry Washington says her feelings of not quite belonging in her family that she's had since childhood were a result of a long hidden secret that she was conceived using a sperm donor. The actress opened up about the revelation in new interviews with the New York Times, People, tied to the release of her upcoming memoir, Thicker Than Water, out on September 26th, so it came out yesterday. The memoir was initially the suggestion of friend and scandal boss Shonda Rhimes. Y'all know Shonda. She's in charge of Shondaland. With Washington admitting that at the time she had this nagging feeling she didn't quite know myself well enough to pull it off. She didn't quite know herself. So now, Thicker Than Water dives deep on her educational and performance journey. So I'm going to skip over that. So Henry Louis Gates, or it might be Louis Gates Jr., hosted PBS series Finding Your Roots. Washington told the New York Times that when she went to collect DNA spit samples for the show in 2018, her mother and father had noticeable hesitation. I said, I just don't think they're going to agree to it. My dad's really uncomfortable, she recalled. And for those of you guys who haven't done like the Ancestry DNA thingy, they have you spit in this little vial. You have to fill it up and you ship that off. So that's what she's talking about. She went to collect their DNA, their spit, to get their DNA for this test that they were going to do. And she was, the parents were reluctant. So that's how they went to talk to the host. Gates went to speak to her parents, Valerie, a professor, and Earl, a real estate agent, privately, which is when they asked about whether the possibility that Washington not being their biological child would come up in the testing. Gates suggested that they have any conversations about the nature of Washington's lineage with them while they were all still alive. So that's the reason that she found out. And she goes on to say, I was birthed into a lie. I was playing a supporting character in my parents' story. She added, I know that their intention was to protect me, to love me, to take care of me, to keep my world simple. I get many years of not telling me, but I've been an adult for over 2 decades. So she found out when she was 41. Um, so now she's attempted to locate her biological father, but there remains no way to determine his identity. Although I'm wondering if she did her own little ancestry.com, if he's in there, she might find him. So that is kind of the background of it. It relates to the fertility world in a couple of different ways. One, the most studied of the children are adopted children, but now they're beginning to study children who have donor sperm or donor gametes. So the studies show that the children who don't find out until adulthood usually end up resenting their parents for lying to them because they feel like their whole life has been a lie. You guys can Google this for yourselves. Like, you don't have to take my word for it, but that their whole lives have been a lie. And so some of them, reconcile with their parents and eventually start talking, but a lot of them don't because they feel like, well, why could you have lied to me this whole time, right? And so that's why a lot of when you go through the donor process, at least for the donor gametes, donor eggs, you have to talk to a therapist, right? And they usually encourage you or inform you that telling them from day one is the easiest way to let them know. So it's always a part of the conversation. It also takes away the shame because if you're not telling them, it's usually for your own convenience and has nothing to do with the child. But it can eventually be weaponized against them by not knowing, right? Because somebody somewhere knows and it could come out and being revealed to that child. I feel like Kerry's parents, I don't know any of these people, probably were not going to ever tell her, or the mom said she was going to leave it in a safe deposit box when she died, which that would be pretty cruel, I think, to find out after you can't even have a conversation about it. But they had gone 41 years. Hey, Veronique, what would have been their incentive to tell her at that point, right? So telling them as soon as possible, always having a conversation about it is probably the easiest way. Then there's also just ignorance, I think. I think it's especially hard in the Black community because so many people are judgmental of it. Like, trust me, on this journey of single mother by choice, I've heard everybody's opinion and then some. Some people don't feel it's godly, it's against nature, all kinds of things. So I wanted to share this video that I ran across, which is why I was like, because a couple of you guys have DM'd me on Instagram when we talked about it, but I was like, But then when I saw this video, I was like, okay, I do have to, I feel compelled to talk about it. Because there's this YouTube channel called the Pink Book Lessons, I think. Hold on, let me get the screen up. And I don't have my proper headset today, so hopefully you guys can hear the audio clean. Because you're going to be getting ambient noise. So share tab audio. There we go. Let me turn off hey Google, stop. I had the Wilderness playing for Sugar Bear, but I just want to make sure you guys can hear this. I'll put the captions on too. If you can't hear it when it plays, just drop a 2 in the chat and I'll stop and try to troubleshoot what's going on. Okay. Let me make myself small. Of course, whenever I'm trying to get clean audio, here go the girls. Hey, liberty, justice. We're going to roll with it.
Kerry was 41 years old with her own husband and children when she found out the truth about her father. 41 years. She's now 46 years old. And you see how she was only told the truth because she was going on a show that was about to expose a lie via DNA testing anyway? This was a secret that her mama kept from her whole life. And the man she thought was her biological father went along with the lie and accepted the responsibility for another man's child, all to protect his wife and her lies. And Kerry, I got another secret for you. I hate to break it to you, but they're still lying. Kerry is going on all of these talk shows saying her mama had her by using a sperm donor. This woman was conceived in 1976. The first IVF baby born in the United States wasn't until 1981. First time in the United States, and that was a couple of years after Kerry was born. And technology like that was exclusively reserved for people of high status with money. So everybody is addressing this issue on TV and media from a 2003 lens. But let's go back to 1976. It wasn't common for a Black woman from the Bronx to go to a sperm bank anywhere and pick out a donor. That was unheard of. First, they didn't even have many at that time. It was a very, very young concept. One of two things happened. Either her mother got pregnant by a man that she didn't want anybody to know about, and she later met Mr. Washington, who took her and the baby in, had to be very early on in Kerry's life. That's why she didn't remember. Or number two, she was with her husband and cheated on him.
Okay, so hopefully you guys all heard that. Hey, test 1229. So this is the foolishness that made me come to the internet. Let me see. Let me stop sharing. Because, I mean, I'm sure most of you guys know what the end of what she just said is not true. I want to pull up the receipts, though. So, the first sperm bank was around in 1964. First, let's all agree you can have a child via sperm donor without doing IVF. I think we all know that. If you've been on my channel for any length of time, you know I had like 7 IUIs with donor sperm, because IUIs are less expensive than IVF, right? So there was definitely IUIs back then. But the first sperm bank, oh God, let me share. I'm getting too excited here. Share screen, slow down. I just want to show you guys. So let me make that a little bit bigger so it's easier to read. I'm going to just scoot off that one side. So the first sperm banks began as early as 1964 in Iowa, USA, and Tokyo, Japan, and were established for in Iowa, USA, in America, and in Tokyo, in Japan, and were established for a medical therapeutic approach to support individuals who were infertile. As a result, over 1 million babies were born within 40 years. Now, the caveat is, in the very beginning, these were fresh donor sperm donors, right? So the gentleman, the guy, the donor was in one room and the recipient was in the other room. And I just want to switch to one more. So that was, there definitely were sperm donors back then. So I don't know. And that the channel I was on was I just want to give her credit for that. Pink Book Lessons is it? And I watch her channel. We don't always actually, we have very different viewpoints, but you guys know me. I don't like to be in an echo chamber, so I like to hear other people's thoughts and opinions. But she's very much on team patriarchy. So let me pull up this other article here because it explains like when they went to frozen sperm. But I just wanted to establish that they have been around since the 60s. So this is Planet Money. And I will link this in the description box when we're done with this live. And if anybody's coming in on the replay crew, drop a blue heart in the comments so we know that you are here. And I will definitely leave on the live chat so you can see what we talked about while we were here. Okay, so here we go. Let me make that a little bit larger. And this is an interview, so that's why it's in this format. It's saying the two people who are talking, but this is the key part. And again, I'll leave the link so you guys can fact check for yourself. So like I said, the prior ones were fresh for most of the 20th century, meaning basically from the donor in one room at a doctor's clinic to the patient in the other, right? Hot and fresh, literally. So the first generation of frozen sperm banks started in the early 70s when they were marketed as a kind of insurance for men undergoing vasectomies or cancer treatment who might want to have children later on, but it remained a niche industry. So that's basically like a fertility preservation in the same way that now women save their eggs if they're going to go undergo cancer treatment or if their biological clock is ticking. So this was the equivalent for men in the 70s. There wasn't really a great market for that until HIV, for the frozen sperm, because I'm sure it costs more, right? Because you had to pay for the cryopreservation. So it's easier to have fresh sperm in the other room and bring it over until HIV. So, after several women contracted HIV from fresh sperm donations in the 80s, fertility doctors recommended against its use. From then on, anyone seeking donor sperm on the medical market would need frozen sperm, which was quarantined and retested later on to make sure it was virus free. They had to turn these sperm banks who had all the infrastructure for freezing sperm and testing donors and shipping the sperm out. So that was sort of the history of that. So what the woman said, again, I think it just comes from a place of not knowing any better, although Google is our friend. So I wanted to let me stop sharing. I wanted to just come on here and talk about that because I hate to see them disparage. And again, that is where the shame comes around it, right? Because we don't talk about it enough. People don't know. And so here's this woman on the internet, and she does a lot of research and she has some great content out there. But in this case, she missed the mark, right? And so she was saying that she had to have slept with, I mean, and they could have slept with someone else. Back in the day, that's what they did with surrogates. You would either have a sperm donor, or some people who couldn't afford all that had sex with the surrogate, right? Versus a gestational carrier. Oh, Sugar Bear's over there getting busy. He's sleepy. I don't know why he's fighting his sleep. Last night he had a witching hour and he was just up wide awake at 1 o'clock for no good reason. Anyway, IUI, aka artificial insemination at home. Exactly, Kitty. Exactly. Hello, Mia. Is it Miyazi? Hello, welcome. So the secrecy around these things, right, or the lack of conversation around it makes it easy um for people to disparage other people, because basically she's saying like the mom stepped out on the dad or the was already pregnant when she met the dad. And probably maybe that's an easier pill for the family to swallow than saying that the dad was infertile, right? Because that's probably the likely scenario. Like they probably got married, discovered that he could not inseminate the wife, and so they went the route of the sperm donor. But especially back then, I mean, even now there's shame and stigma around it. You talking to Miss Monica? Okay. Um, there's shame and stigma around it today. There's only a few channels on YouTube that talk about male infertility being a factor, and they usually kind of skirt over it. I think there was one channel, it was a black couple who said, he had zero sperm. They did the surgery. I can't remember what it's called. Oh my God, my brain. It's pregnancy and newborn brain. But they do a surgery to extract the sperm. There was a black couple that did that, and then there's another couple. Mindy is the channel creator's name. I can't think of her last name. I think Mindy is in the name of her channel though. And she has an older husband who had a vasectomy, and so they did the same procedure with him to extract the sperm, for them to end up. Although I can't even remember, they may have gone to a sperm donor. Don't quote me. Anyway, my point is, there's a lot more women on YouTube talking about their infertility struggles versus talking about their husband's infertility struggles. And so I think especially there's a stigma in the brown community, black and brown, of like machismo and somehow your manhood is tied to your sperm. I don't know how. But so when we don't talk about these things, one, we have difficulty getting services like and proper treatment because it is already kind of shrouded in secrecy. And two, it is stigmatizing. Do you know, like when we don't talk about it? And so then if someone finds out this about your child, are they going to tease them, taunt them? Someone asked me in one of the videos the other day, on one of my shorts, was like, well, how did you tell your family? I just told them, it wasn't like a big, I just told it. Well, one, I talked to my mom about it. Hang on one second. Let me get him because now they are kicking up. Sugar Bear, what's going on? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Okay. But I will say, like, for my family, it may not be obviously the same as everybody else's family. Like, my mom was orphaned when she was 14. So there are people in her life that she claims as family that are not genetically connected to her. There are people who are genetically connected to her that she doesn't want to be bothered with, right? So maybe that is I have a little more grace in that respect. But I don't know. I just think as matter of fact about it as we can be, the easier it is for everyone. And they have so many books, and like I have a couple of books in there for Sugar Bear about donor conception, third party conception, different names that is age appropriate for them, and that's what the experts recommend, right? Is like tell them at age appropriate information at the right time, right? As they progress older, so that it's not something weird or new or uncomfortable. Oh, you see, Liberty has your toy. She stole it. Liberty, leave that alone. Oh my goodness. All my cheerings. As soon as I get on the phone, they start acting up. So yeah, that was all that I wanted to say. Have you guys seen this? What are your thoughts about it? How do you feel about the commentary about her mom stepping out on the dad or already being pregnant? Um, and having another man's child. Like technically it's not the donor's child. Like genetically it is, yes, but in no other sense. It's interesting because today I had to fill out paperwork for like return to work, insurance, blah blah blah. And so I had to fill out how I was related to the child. And I am biologically related, even though I'm not genetically related. By law, I'm biologically related. So I thought that was interesting because I know some of you all have reached out about, I can't think of who it's someone famous who just had a second baby who was like, it's my biological child. And that's all the questions she wanted to answer. It still could be through donor egg, but it's really nobody's business, especially for the famous people, again, for this same reason, because if your parent is famous, you know who the child is, even if you don't know the child's name, right? Like it would be, I don't know. What is that? Uh-oh. You okay? Like if you were Bono's child, if you're in a class, like all your classmates know, oh, that's the dad. And if they say, oh, well, Bono used a sperm donor, then they'll be like, oh, your dad is not your dad. Like people say weird stuff. I mean, I have friends, two women who have children, and they will, it'll be that occasional child that'll be like, that's why you have two moms. Well, if that is what they know is normal, there's no shame in that. It's just like saying that's why you have two arms. Like, okay, you know what I mean? You take the power away from them. But I think there's a different level when I feel like famous people have a right to privacy, even though they are famous. Like they don't have to tell you, they don't owe us an explanation, right? They entertain us and that's what they do. And then they have a right to live their life the way they want to. Um, Tess said, I understand the stigma. Someone at work mentioned they did IVF and thought to say and I thought to say me too, but held back. Yeah. I told them all at work again. He's almost 4 months. He's almost not a newborn anymore. But yeah, so it is. It was interesting because I sent out a note before I went out because I didn't tell like a lot of people at work. I told my manager, and people were like, other people, a YouTube internet, social media people were like, what did your manager say when you told her? I was like, she said, congratulations. I just didn't tell everybody because I was getting a lot of anxiety from telling the TTC sisters on the internet. And I was like, if that's like, my kind of hive and they're giving me anxiety, I just don't want to talk about it with like coworkers who barely know me. Just because there ends up being a lot of questions. I mean, of course, there's some coworkers who know, like, you have a bond with some of them, but not with everybody. And so, I did send out an email at the end saying, I tried for 5 years and blah, 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 because there were people, like I remember walking by people who used to be on a team that I managed. And one of the girls, they were talking loud whispers. And she was like, oh, I didn't know she was pregnant. And then the other girl said something. Now she leaned in, so I couldn't hear. But I mean, they know that I'm older. So I'm sure, the way she said it, it wasn't like, oh, I didn't know she was pregnant. You know what I mean? So people are going to talk, but it's just like, how much power do you give to what they're saying? Olivia Pope, we were talking about your namesake. He is looking directly into the camera. Definitely a little charmer. Congratulations on yours. Thank you. Now he's looking at you guys' comments over here. He sees the movement. Course correction. How are you? My colleague is a child of IVF. She's met her siblings as adults. Oh, that's cool. So one of my coworkers, who was on the old team that I manage, he is conceived via donor sperm. And it was his his mother's, whatever, his mom's husband, his dad, who he knows his dad, was suffering from infertility issues, and so she used it. But he met his dad, I want to say like maybe 3 years ago now, and he flew out to meet him, and now they're friends. But of course, he's like, my dad is always my dad. You know what I mean? Will always be my dad. But it's nice to have that connection, and so he met his siblings. He calls them dibblings. Um, and now they have a bond and a connection. And I thought about this. I talked about this with my therapist last week of like, I'm going to leave it to Sugar Bear if he wants to meet his siblings. I am not going to connect him. I think right now he's too young to understand, even though I will explain to him like the origins of his existence and how people in the world exist who are related to him. I think once he's 18, he can make, an informed decision if he wants to meet them or not. I just don't feel like it's my place to interject in that, especially coming from someone who has so many siblings, both from my mom, my dad, and some are from marriage, right? That I have four sisters. Technically, I have six brothers. I always say I have five. One of my brothers is younger than Cheyenne, so I've only met him like twice. But yeah, it gets complicated and trying to maintain those relationships and sort out like feelings of jealousy and competition. And of course, there's love in there, but I'm born between two of my brothers. And so that it made it complicated growing up. And then towards the end, like my second brother one of the brothers that I'm in the middle of just died last year. But we hadn't spoken to each other in some years, probably since like 2013. And then my oldest brother I haven't spoken to since 2002. And then one of my brothers is dead. But yeah, so it is. I did see my brother Eric when I was in California. That'll be in the next vlog that you guys will see, with the California trip with Sugar Bear. But yeah, seems like there are missing pieces to Kerry Washington's story. Yes, Isha, I would agree. I don't know if she talks about it in her book, Thicker Than Water. But again, I feel like it's her story to tell. Like maybe her dad doesn't want her to put it out on the internet that he, was shooting blanks if that was the case. And I mean, that's his right. It's not part of her story. The part of her story is that she was conceived via donor sperm, right? The why is her parents' story to tell. But yeah, I mean, I think there's always more to someone's story, and she's trying to sell a book too, right? So maybe she's leaving that. Maybe it is all laid out in the book. I don't know. The book just came out yesterday. I haven't read it. I think I will get it like an e-copy of it and see what it's about. It might be something to put in a library for Sugar Bear later. I'm not sure. Thank you, course correction. So yeah, that was it. I just wanted to come on to address that and see what you guys thought about that. I will say, well, that's it on that topic. I will say as a new mom at 52, I'm having a little bit of daycare anxiety, and I don't know if any of you all had that. Oh, Marquita, you just ordered it on Audible. Okay, so you have to let us know. I mean, don't tell us everything that's in there, but let us know if I'm sure there has to be more revealed. And there's also so much more to Kerry Washington than just how she was conceived too, right? Like it didn't like she's an actress, she grew up in the Bronx. There's so many more things about her story to be told, I'm sure. And if Shonda Rhimes was encouraging her to create her memoirs, I'm sure there's pretty lots of layers to it, because Shonda Rhimes is a storyteller, so she's not going to encourage anybody to tell a story not worth telling. um I get the impression that they were trying to put the story out there first before someone else. I think they're using it as a, I mean, and that could be true. I think they're also using it as a what is it called? Like when you do a press tour, it's also a selling point on her press tour, right? Because that's a headline. Because then I saw some of it on Instagram, and people were like, "Well, why do we care about this?" Because she's selling a book, and that's in the book. So I think part of it is that too, of like a little tease of what's in the book and how it defined her. Hopefully, it will help other people who are in the same or similar circumstances that she found herself in, and then they can find a way through. Because sometimes people find that out and they like want to unalive themselves. You know the word that I can't say on YouTube. Self-harm to the point of non-existence. And so I think maybe people can connect with her on that level. Is she an only child? That's a good question, Ashley. Well, that she knows of. I mean, her donor could have other ones, but I'm gonna Google it. We'll ask Google, and see what Google says. Is Washington an only child? Yes, in her new memoir, Thicker Than Water, Washington recounts her life as an only child in the Bronx, her acting career and activism, and her journey of self discovery after learning the truth of her heritage. Growing up, she frequently sensed an emotional distance between her parents and herself. And those parents, I mean, I'm not advocating for what they did, but I think they did the best that they could with the information that they had. They had to be walking on eggshells for a lifetime because she could have done like an ancestry DNA test a long time ago, right? It just happened that she was going on this particular show. Like, she could have done that. And I don't know that she necessarily would have. I don't know her relationship with her parents, obviously. I don't know that she would have revealed that to her parents. I didn't tell my mom I took a DNA test so after I took it, and then I was on ancestry.com telling her about some relatives she didn't want to hear about. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so she's an only child aside from any siblings that she may have. Any advice for setting boundaries with families who keep asking when I'm having a baby? I'm mid 40s and secretly dealing with infertility. Their questions are a painful reminder of my struggles. I think it depends on the family member and, of course, how much you want to share. But you could say something as simple as, I'll let you know. You'll be the first to know when I'm pregnant, or let's not talk about it. It's hard, especially because the holidays are coming up. If you don't feel like you can say that to them, I would definitely just skip the holiday dinners with them. But I think it depends on your relationship with them. I would strongly encourage finding a way to set that boundary. You know them better than I do, whatever the conversation. If you want to be direct and tell them that I'm going through, obviously I told my family. They probably like the first, maybe the second year, like after I lost Applejack, they would ask, and then they stopped asking. I think everybody stopped asking because it was taking so long and they just thought it wasn't going to work for me. Um, but it was easier for me to tell because I was already on the internet with it. So I don't want to diminish what you're going through with my convoluted story. But I think if there is a way, either pull them aside. There may be women in your family who had miscarriages and losses and struggle with infertility that nobody's talking about. I had an aunt who did, and people just kind of like whispered about it. And now, I mean, she passed away in 2006, but now I relate so much. I wish that I could have like pulled her aside and had a conversation with her, but I wasn't in that place yet. And so it just is. Also, a lot of times you'll have a miscarriage and you feel like you're the only one in the world, not knowing other people are in your family or people close to you have had it because it hasn't been shared. So if there are people, I don't know if there's like a matriarchy, like maybe there's a grandmother or auntie who kind of like rallies the troops who you can have that conversation with, and then she can let them know like it's a sensitive topic. Either that or you can be real dramatic, and when they ask you, just burst out in tears and run to the bathroom. No, I'm kidding. I don't suggest that. But yeah, I would say find a way to let them know, not specifically that you're struggling, but that it is a sensitive topic. And you could say there are obstacles, I'm working through some things, say a prayer for me, whatever you feel comfortable with. But I would definitely address it because I believe they mean well and they're asking out of love. And if they knew how much pain it was causing you, they wouldn't do it, if that makes sense. Okay. I definitely had daycare anxiety, but our daycare family friends are still friends, even though the kids are in different schools. It was a great community. Oh, I love that. I still have daycare anxiety, and he's been at daycare for almost a month. I get sad when I think about him being taken care of by strangers. I think it will take a while to get over. Oh my God. So I'm having that. I interviewed another school today. I think I said that a couple weeks ago that I was going to interview schools in case I didn't get the one. Although the other school did call me back and confirm I'm still on the list, but I've pushed it back now till January of him starting instead of him starting at the end of November. So we have this thing, Bright Horizons, and we get 30 days a year for free, and then we would pay by the day. So I think I'm going to leverage, well, I know I am because I already booked some days with Bright Horizon. I just need to confirm with HR that I will get 30 days because he was born in June. They might limit it to 15 days. And then have someone come into the house, right? Because it's around the holiday time. So I think with Christmas and everything else, I can probably swing working from home. And so then I'm here, but there'll be a care provider in as well. And I'll get in the habit of like pumping my breast milk and have someone else feeding him. But if it's a rough transition for him, I'm here in the house with him. Do you know what I mean? Because he's not been held by strangers. I mean, bless you. Shamika cut his cord. So she was there the day I was there. We all met at the same time. But and she's really the only one who's ever like held him. I mean, obviously like my mom and my sister did when we were there, but it was a hot minute and I was like right there. So yeah, that part I do not know. I do not know. Oh yeah. Okay. You don't know about it either. You're not sure about the meeting the strangers. So yeah, it just scared me today. And then I did a virtual tour and they were showing me the high chairs and the high chair didn't have a step on it. So I was asking about that. Then she was like, well, it's kind of on the floor of their feet. I'm like, well, because the occupational therapist recommends that their feet be flat. Right. So either on the little ledge at the bottom instead of their feet being like this or just dangling because it makes it harder for them to eat. And so that was like going through my mind. I'm gonna do baby led weaning with him. I would like to get like a month under our belt before we go off. He can't start it until 6 months, although he might be starting it early. He sat up the other day. He doesn't sit up all the time by himself, but that's like one of the indicators that they're ready for. And let me see, is he gonna do it now? He's gonna lean forward right now. That's one of the indicators that they're ready to start baby led weaning. So yeah, I don't know. I'm freaking out. Obviously, I have to go back to work. I don't have a rich husband at home, but I'm really like, I did not have this with Cheyenne. But also, the person who watched Cheyenne, it was an in home daycare that both my brother and my sister had gone to, and she was a friend of the family. So I was not, it was like leaving it off, at Auntie Charlotte's, dropping her off at Auntie Charlotte's house. This is like total strangers, different town. So the one that I interviewed today and I went on the virtual tour with is closer to my job and they are open until 7 p.m. So it's like 15 minutes from my job, but like a 15-minute walk. So if push came to shove, I could get to him faster, and I could walk to him, like for God forbid something happened with the subway, they shut the city down, whatever, I could get to him quickly. And they did say that I could store the stroller there. So, I don't know. But today it really hit me because I'm like doing paperwork and all that to get ready. So it was a mess. It was a mess. If I have to give this baby's birth certificate one more time, like this is my third time. And I forgot to do it for the insurance. Like I had so many days and I didn't do it, so they had canceled him from the insurance, which I didn't find out till I went to get his prescription filled. And I called and they were like, no, he's had that medication before. It should be approved. And I was like, that's what I told the pharmacy. And then she was like, oh, no, wait, I see here in big red letters, blah, blah, blah. So I had to send his birth certificate. Then I had to send it again today for my, is it disability, FMLA payments. And so that was like another thing. I'm like, oh my God. But yeah. And I sent the verification. I sent that out early. Like I had so many days after he was born to send it in. But anyway, I have a nice cute folder for all his paperwork, which ends up, hey, is it Adair? Hello, you made it. Yay. Adair's friend zone. Brown Eye Queen, hello, how are you? Girl, we done went from Kerry Washington to my daycare anxiety that I'm having. My son will be 2 in December. I'm ready for him to go to daycare, but I'm scared because they are not going to give him the attention I give him. And 2, he screams whenever I have to leave him with anyone. That makes sense. I haven't left him with anyone yet. And I said I was going to try babysitters, but even with the babysitter, I'm going to try them while I'm here first. And then if that goes well, but I just haven't been able to leave him. So I know I have to get over it. Talking with the therapist about it, but it is real. Hey, Shauna. And she's saying hi to everybody in the fertility flam. But blessings to all. Just got in. Got to catch up. Oh, it's all good. We talked about Kerry Washington in the beginning. Now we're just talking about daycare anxiety. Hey, Genesis. Oh yeah, hit the thumbs up for me. Thanks, Genesis. So, am I in the full screen? No. What is happening here? Can you guys? Yeah. Okay. Chasing rainbows. Is blocking us. Oh. It's gonna be there anyway because my name is over there. Oh, He looks like he has less hair than he does in on the camera because it's thin and the light is shining down, but there is. But his mohawk matches his name, so like his actual name. So the mohawk is holding on for dear life, right? Yes. Um Never late. How are you? Brenda, hello. Neo Soul, hello. Oh, thank you. So yeah, that is what is going on. I just had to hop on because of the Kerry Washington thing. I wasn't gonna say anything like I said until I saw the pink lessons and she's like, the mom is stepping out. You know what? She didn't have to tell us, so I'm glad that she came out. I'm glad that we all can have a conversation about it. Should she tell us everything? It's up to her. Again, it makes it complicated too, because now she has to explain it to her children, right? Like they're never, or I shouldn't say never, let me not cast things on people, but it will be unlikely that they'll meet their biological grandfather, her biological dad, her genetic dad, sorry. Um, her donor. He's not her dad, her donor. Oh no, you spitting up? Okay, let me see. Let me see. Yeah. You want your lovey? Um, You'll have to watch the beginning again, Shauna. But basically, she found out when she was 41 that that she was conceived via donor sperm. It sounds like her dad might have been infertile, and her mom did like an IUI, and they didn't tell her. But I mean, she's 46 now, so I think they said she was born in 76, 75, something like that. Um, I wonder if they have found the donor father or close relatives. They have not. That's what she was saying because in those days they were all closed. But that's what I'm wondering, if she can go on like ancestry.com. Like maybe this person is registered on one of those sites. Maybe she would, if she really wanted to, try them all, like Ancestry, 23andMe. I'm sure there's some others that I'm not thinking of, and see if that person or a relative of that person has submitted their DNA. And so maybe she can find them that way. But definitely she has to tell her kids, because they're very likely to do some DNA testing. I mean, I've done it. I'm looking for my father's people. Cheyenne did it. And so it's interesting. Um, it's not as devastating, rather unheard of now as it may have been 20 or 30 years ago. Yes. Yeah. I mean, this was 41. They kept it a secret for 41 years. She's 46 now, so it was 46 years ago that they did it. And we had to look it up because in the 60s is when the first sperm bank was created in America. And then in the 70s is when they started having frozen sperm. So, yeah. What I missed, was she angry? I'm stuck on if I'm going to tell the twins we did IVF. There are positives and negatives to it, so now I need to watch. Well, her mom didn't do IUF. It was or IUF, IVF. It was likely IUI, and she said it. She was angry at first because she had been lied to her whole life, and she was an adult, and she only found out by happenstance. Like they didn't intentionally want to tell her. She was going to go on a show that was going to reveal who her parents were. And so I gotta look for that. I wonder if she ever did that episode. Um, can you have someone come into your home to? That is what I'm going to do for the month of December, B. Sarah. But I do want him to have socialization and other interactivity. So I think when he turns 7 months in January, like right when we come back from the break, he'll be on January 2nd. He'll be 7 months. So I think at that point I'll have him go to a daycare. It is 4-to-1 in the daycare, so there's 4 students per 1 teacher. They have a nap room. I really liked the one I saw today. It's more expensive than the other one that I said I was going to do. And it would be, the way that I could get the price down would be have him go like 3 days a week and then have someone in the home 2 days a week. So I might do that. Instead of him just having, all in, by you're gone for 5 days. Because I think that also might be a little rough. When I first return to work, he is going to go to the Bright Horizons because that is in the building and I can pop down on lunch. Like I said, I have to figure it out because I still even have to figure out like having someone else feed him my breast milk. Like we haven't done that. He has had it out of a bottle. He's had formula out of a bottle, so I'm not worried about that. But like someone else feeding him, that hasn't happened. And so, it's just I'm probably overthinking it, but I want him to have a good experience. And I don't want to be in a situation where I'm just like, here you go, and he's gone from me for 10 hours. So at least like that first time, if he is in the building with me at work, I can pop down a couple times throughout the day to check on him, which I wouldn't be able to do if they come into my home. Um, because it's too far for me to like keep coming back home during the day. But if it's right in my building, I can do that. And then so I'm thinking it'll either be 2 or 3 days a week in the daycare, and then the other days someone coming into the home after we do having him at work with me at the office with me, and then I can see him on the camera at the office. But all of these schools have the cameras now. I'm sure you guys have those centers too. They have the cameras, they have the schedule, they use the app where they get they tell you what time they ate, what time they had a nap, all that fun stuff. So yeah, thankful that a woman of color was able to afford that at that time. We are so used to hearing that it was too expensive back then for us to have access to it. Yeah, she was also a professor, so I wonder if that played into it, right? She may have had, I don't know, I feel like professors make a nice living. They lived in the Bronx, I don't know. um but yeah, they were in two working homes. I don't know. A vial of sperm today is, like between 700 and $1,000. So whatever it was back there, it couldn't have been that much. And maybe she only needed one vial. I don't know how long her journey was. And I'm sure it's probably hard for her to tell her daughter that now, right? Because there's already sort of like a divide because she hadn't told her anything. And so it could be perceived as trying to get sympathy. Like I'm definitely going to tell Sugar Bear how long it took to get him here. Like you were very much loved and wanted always. A trial week where they come in, but you're there just as a shadow, and lots of cameras in the house. Um, I guess I could, but I don't want him to be in the house like too long. I think only in the month of December I'm gonna have him in the house and then take him out to the school and do like the mix of it. But the first time anybody watches him, I'm going to be there. Like as if they come into the house, like I'm gonna be here with them, like while it's going on in case it gets overwhelming for him. I just can't imagine like me totally disappearing for the first time. I think he might, and it might be nothing. Hell, when I dropped Cheyenne off, like she didn't go to like a public outside school until I think 3 or 4, and I thought she was gonna be sad, and she was like, "Bye." She didn't even turn around. She was like, "Bye," like waved, gave me the back of her hand, and kept right on going. So I might be overreacting, but that is just there's so many things that he hasn't done, and I just don't want to. I mean, there are cameras here. So I don't know if I tell her, like some of them are not as visible, but I've had cameras since I got the dogs. Um, but if she was gonna do something crazy, she could do it outside of the sight line of the camera. Oh no, you have all this. The only thing about him getting chubby is now he gets stuff under his chin that he did not get before because he has chins. Going to daycare part time seems less stressful. I think so too. And then there's also like germs, other people's children. But I do like this one that I saw today because they all have to take their shoes off before they come in, which is what we do at my house. And I think that cuts down on it. Basically, they have like a mudroom entrance as you come in. Now, you can give them indoor shoes to put on, or they can just walk around in their socks. Or obviously, he won't be walking when he gets there at 7 months. But I just thought that was neat too. Yeah. I just want to be able to focus on work. And I know if all that is going on, I won't be able to focus. So, yeah. My cousin keeps kissing my 2-month-old in the face while wearing a face full. Oh no, I spoke to her about it twice before, but I caught her doing it again. I went off, my baby. Yes, Mizzy, yes. And it's harder with the relatives, but you never know. I've been very cautious about who's been around the baby because people have like bad habits. Even when we went to see my aunts, like one of them or two of them smoke. And so they were like washing their hands each time. My Auntie Jeannie would change her shirt so that he wouldn't be by, and then we just kind of covered up my other auntie, so he wouldn't be inhaling that smoke. But yeah, the makeup thing. I don't like anybody kissing him, and I make that clear. People can be offended or what, but some people are just like baby freaks. You know what I mean? You know the ones. They like every baby they think is adorable and cute, and they want to be in their face. It skeeves me out for people to be kissing on the baby. But yeah, girl, relatives, right? um, I have daycare anxiety too. I have 18 months leave, so he has only been with me, ends in March 20. Oh yeah, oh my god, yeah. I only have a 6 months leave, and I can't even imagine 18 months. Like, oh my god, that would be, yeah. That yeah, oh my god. Yeah, because they only know you. You kind of know their schedule. You get to cater. It's one on one, right? There's not three other additional children. Well, there's two puppies or two dogs, but you know what I mean. Like nobody else is vying for my attention, so it's giving me a little bit. My baby has super sensitive skin, and I don't feel it's appropriate to kiss other people's babies in their faces. She said I overreacted, but I don't think so. No, you are not being unreasonable. And I mean, like for real, Corona is not gone. Um, so I'm not saying your cousin does, but some people have cold sores, herpes, and they transfer it to babies that way, right? And so it just is like better. And it may be one popping out that they don't know about. Obviously, if you see one, you would not let them. But you know what I mean? Like it's too much. Even if he didn't have sensitive skin, or she, I'm sorry, Missy, I don't know if it's a boy or girl, but even if the baby didn't have sensitive skin, I don't think people should be kissing babies in their face. I personally don't. Yeah. Yes, he has. We all internet aunties were rooting and praying for him. It is so much easier to have that conversation with our children now than it was back then. Yes, it is very true. Yeah, because I put it all over the internet. So you'll be able to see. Even if I stop YouTubing, I probably will leave the videos up, or I might private them. I think his like first year folder I'll probably private after his first year is over. But they'll be up there, for him to see. It's at the beginning, Heather. It's at the beginning. You could catch it on the replay. Not unreasonable at all. Okay, Brenda is seconding that notion or thirding that notion. Yeah, I don't think that's unreasonable at all. Like it's only for the adults' pleasure, right? Because the babies don't are not responding to that. I don't know. I am not a fan of that. And I think too, I mean, obviously that's your relative, so it's a little more challenging, right? But it's, some people just are not good with boundaries. And so if there has been anybody in my life who has violated a boundary, they are not going to be around my child, relative or not. Like I'm just like no. Because you, sir. All of that. Okay. It's your child. You get to raise them the way that you want to raise them. Uh-oh. You don't want to lay down? Okay. You want to see the ladies? You want to see your aunties? Is that what's going on here? Okay. Okay. You can see them. They can see you. How's that? I'm not the only one that says baby freaks because honey, granddad's girlfriend plays with the boy's feet and starts twirling her tongue and breathing hard. I said, yes, she can't come back. Not the feet. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's politically correct, but you could just see it in their face. Like they love all little babies and just like touching them, kissing them. And I'm like, that, like, no, no, no. Right? You think so too? Okay, good. I'm glad we're on the same page. She needs to respect you. Yes. And that is the thing, like if people can't respect your boundaries now with the baby, like imagine you'll be telling them no, they can't have a sugary whatever, and somebody will be like, oh, it'll never hurt them. You don't know, and you didn't have a car seat, and you flew through the window, and you were okay. Like, no, no, ma'am, no, ma'am. I cannot imagine kissing someone else's baby. Germs are real, people. Exactly, exactly. Like, don't even kiss my baby on the feet. He's found his feet, and he might put his foot in his mouth with your germs on it. Like, no. And I know 3 people who caught coronavirus this month. So I'm like, it's still alive and well, guys. And the babies don't have that immunity. I did get a booster when I was pregnant with him, and I'm going to get another booster, and I'm still nursing him. So hopefully he'll have it. But like, no, no, no. And one of the people we were around in California ended up calling and saying they had a positive, but they hadn't been in his face. He didn't have any symptoms. I didn't have any symptoms. And of course we were on a plane, but I was cautious. Yeah. I want to protect my baby at all costs. I feel much better about my reaction to her disrespect. Yeah, totally. And especially if you already told her once, like, hard head, make a soft ass. That's what my granddaddy told me. How are you feeling now post pop? How do you feel physically? Was it a harder recovery than you expected? What is a post pop? Oh, post op? I think you mean post op. I'm fine. I mean, I don't think it was harder than I expected. It was just completely unexpected because I thought I was going to have a vaginal birth. It was very similar to my nephrectomy when I had my kidney removed, except, obviously there's vaginal bleeding when you have a child. So yeah, but it was rough. I didn't have my meds for the first 2 weeks. And so that was rough. I lost a lot of weight because I really wasn't eating. I didn't have any meals prepared. I wasn't getting enough calories. And I had to nurse him. So yeah, that I think was the roughest part. If, one, I thought I wasn't going to be here, but he had his underweight issue. And so I ended up being at home. So that part was like a little wonky, but we made it through. Like, would I do it again? Yeah, I would. It's all been worth it. So fast, cooing and grunting, focusing his attention on the screen. It's so wonderful to see all these changes. The first year goes by so fast. Yes. He's been talking and grunting for a minute. He really likes to have conversations with me. In the morning, he's a chatterbox. Although last night, I had to send my sister a video. I was like, he has no intention of going to sleep anytime. He was just a talking. But yeah, and I'll show you guys the picture because I sent it to my mom. He like sat up by himself, and he likes to hang out in the kitchen with me. And so because of my back, I put him in his high chair because I was wearing him, but oh, child. If I'm like in the kitchen doing too much, it really hurts my back. Let me see if I can find it where he was in this high chair. Choo choo choo. Can you guys see him? He's sitting in his high chair. Yes, I'm showing them a picture of you. Is that okay? He was sitting, and then I'll show you one where it was like a video. You can see him moving. And that was like, he only started doing that this week. Before, he was like slumping to the side. So that was to his grandma. But he's not, he can't do it for long periods of time, but he's getting stronger. He spends a lot of time on the mat, though. We do a lot of floor time. The only container I have for him is the swing, which helps him sleep. But other than that, he is on the mat, either on his play mat, like laying on his back looking up at activities, or I have another mat over here that he does his tummy time. He can flip over now too, like consistently. I'll have him do tummy time and he flips himself over. So yeah, he's sleeping pretty good. I did start the sleep training, even though it killed me like the first 2 days, but the doctor was right. It does work after 3 days. Except last night, he had a witching hour. And then I hear they have a sleep regression when they are in their 4th month. So looking forward to that. So people were so mad I quarantined for 6 weeks with my son after he was born. He was an IUGR preemie, and I didn't want to risk anyone's germs. People can just be mad. I don't know why they're mad. Like somebody, people were mad at me too because I didn't want them around. I don't know why. Like you're in an enclosed space, you're in your house. Like this is kind of their cocoon to keep it safe and sterile, So once you start letting people in and out, I mean, even if they're taking their shoes off, washing their hands, there's still that risk that it's just not necessary. I mean, yeah. And especially if he was intrauterine growth restricted, Cheyenne was that way. And he was preemie, like you definitely had to protect him. So hopefully they'll get over it and they'll understand you were doing what was best for your baby. That your son looks so much like it's a divine pairing for real. Yes. Definitely. Vaginal next time No, I'm not going to do vaginal because that would be more time between pregnancies. And so I would have to wait 24 months between pregnancies instead of 18 months if I do cesarean to cesarean. Did I have any post-baby hair shedding? Not yet. Biggest difference from this journey and Cheyenne's, I get to spend more time with him. With Cheyenne, I only had 6 weeks off. And so that was, luckily, like I said, he was going to somebody who I knew very well, her in-home daycare. But yeah, that was rough. I feel like I know him so much better already at 3 months than I knew Cheyenne at 3 months. Hello. Oh, yay. Be good, so I'm glad you accidentally caught us too. In progress of it. Thank you. Yeah, we're getting our little groove together. RSV. Oh yeah, I forgot about RSV. I just saw that in one of my baby apps, like warning of RSV. That's another thing that kind of scares me about the daycare too. I mean, I know they take precautions, but it's still like everybody has been telling me, "Oh, watch out when they go to daycare; they're gonna get sick all the time." Like, not helpful. Not helpful to tell a woman with a lot of anxiety. But they definitely need to be taken seriously. Don't worry about people. They don't do your job. I didn't tell anyone in family babies were born until 6 weeks later. They can kiss the whole entire ring of your ass. You did this work. Your rules. I know that's right. Yes. I just watched that on a video on YouTube too, where they didn't tell their family when they delivered. And she was like, I think it was her second or third kid. She was like, the last one, they were all here. And I kind of wanted my sister here, but I didn't want anybody to know. So she did it all by herself. And they didn't tell until they got home. With Cheyenne, I didn't tell anybody while we were at the hospital. I waited until we got home, but then everybody wanted to come over. I didn't feel like, his family, I didn't feel like I could tell them no. Or he didn't try to tell them no, so I just left it at that. But that was disruptive. Like, I guess it depends on the person, because I'm sure some people, like, they're super close with their family and that's all very helpful, and it just depends, right? Like, that's not my jam. Now, if somebody would have came over and cooked, I would have gladly accepted that. Uh-oh. It's always been strange to me how entitled people act about other people's babies. Yeah, I think so too. Sitting up like a yes. It's interesting because I think part of it is they know the babies are only so big for so long, but like it's your child, you get to say when and where, right? Oh my God, what movie is that? I say when, I say where, I say when. Who is that? Where the woman is like trying to assert herself. But yeah, it's your child. You carry them. You know what all the risks are. You get to say, like, just don't let people shame you. I think it's completely up to you. Because God forbid if something happens, it's your responsibility. Oh, thank you, Heather Page. Pretty Woman. That's it. Oh yeah, that was Cat. It was like I say yes. Wasn't it? Or was it Julia I think it was her roommate. Anyway. Yes, that used to be one of my favorite movies, Pretty Woman. Look at all you guys, Pretty Woman, Heather, Tess one. People are very entitled in life in general. It's just some people's personality, bossy, opinionated, all that. Yes. It was Julia. Okay, I thought so. Yes. Okay. I was like, yeah, when I said Cat, I was like, no, that was I think it was Julia. That was a good movie. I might have to watch it again. Sir, is there a reason why you're spitting? Are you telling mom? Ooh, are you telling mom that you would like to? Genesis, I think this is one of the sleepers you got him. I was just doing my baby shower video while I'm pulling the clips together, and this was with the bag and everything else that you said. Oh, kisses. Can you let go of mommy's hair though? Ow. Okay. Kisses. Kisses. Mm. Up. Wee, boom. You like that? Exposure to germs in daycare also helps to build up their immune system. Okay, that's good to know. I mean, he is breastfed, so his immune system, like, he has my antibodies, but it is so I think that even supports like him not going every day to daycare at first, but going a couple days and then being home. So he, gradually gets that exposure to those germs. I was so happy the hospital had a visitation restriction. 2 people a day. Oh, nice. Yeah, my hospital had unlimited. I was like, oh my God. I mean, luckily my family is not here, but Cheyenne came, TK came, my sister was there. Obviously, she came out from California. But yeah, when I had Cheyenne, nobody came in there. I was like, my mom was there before the birth, but not after. I mean, my mom was pretty like whatever, but her other grandma was like quite upset. Also a baby freak though. Yeah, because I just didn't want to create a situation where she's potentially holding my baby and doing something I don't want her to do. And a newborn, it's not like I can just run and snatch my baby back. You know what I mean? So it's just like it's a sensitive thing. Um, Outfits and Halloween costumes. I don't know if I'm gonna dress him up or not. I was thinking about it, but then I'm like, where are we going? We'll see. And then I was like looking because you guys know I'm addicted to Timu, so I would have to decide in the next week or so if I was gonna get it on time. But I didn't see anything like really compelling. I saw a pumpkin and I was like, yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Like, what would be a good infant costume? I could just get him a onesie that says it's Halloween and call it a day. Will the doctor let him have vitamin C drops? I did that with my girls and it helped keep sickness and colds down. I don't know. I can ask. He's going back for his 4 month next week, I think. Is next week October? Oh my god. Is it? Yeah, today's the 27th, you guys. Wow. Wow. Yeah, he goes in on Monday, so I'll ask. Yeah. Monday at 2. Oh my god, you're almost 4 months old. Isn't that crazy, little one? That's so crazy. You're going so fast. Oh my god. Did you have an issue with your little ones after you took the vitamin after you gave them the vitamin C? Did that help them at the daycare? Because he's definitely at the stage where he picks up things and puts it in his mouth. I'm sure they're sterilizing the toys, but you know what I mean? And his fingers are in his mouth, like it's all in the mouth. So, oh, a sweet pea would be cute. Lion, sweet pea. Oh yeah, that would be cute. Oh my god. I wish I had a little bear one. If I had done newborn pictures, I was gonna try to do one in a bear, but or maybe a little bird. I don't know. I'll look. Where do you get yours, Genesis? Is it like Target, Walmart? Are you over this? Can I have kiss? Can I have kisses? Kisses? No smiles for my kisses? No smiles? No. What about up, 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 up? Wee boom! Up, 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 wee boom! Up, 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 wee boom! Okay. A bear Halloween outfit would be right. I have to look for one. Okay, you guys have inspired me. Maybe on Amazon. I have to look. My only thing is like I want to make sure it's like soft and you know how the adult costumes are kind of on the cheap and itchy and whatever. Like I don't want him to be uncomfortable. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe there's a filter. Is there a filter like on IG or TikTok that I could put on him, and the costume is in the filter? I'm a nurse during COVID. During when COVID just hit to January 22, we only allowed the patient's significant other. It was so nice. Patients could rest with people telling them what to do or whatnot versus people telling them what to do or whatnot. Yeah, because everybody comes in with an opinion. They mean well, but like, did I ask? Booger bear spitting up everywhere. So funny. Oh my god, not booger bear or bugger bear. Oh my god. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. All right, you guys. The boss is calling. I'm gonna have to get off of here. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I will look at all of the. Let me just see real fast. Get through the last one. So it's girls got everything from daycare, scarlet fever, whooping cough, and once we started the drops, it went. Oh my god. Okay. Good night, everybody. Say good night. Do you want to say good night? I better stop tossing you up. You might spit up on me, huh? You gonna say good night to the ladies? Good night. To see you later. You're not gonna say good night? Bye, everybody. Baby does to you all.